Be good. And we are live. Welcome back to the show. Cam, how you doing, bro?
Man, enjoying life. This weather is hitting me well, man. It's sunny. It's not cold. My chickens are loving it. My kid is loving it. Everybody's loving it. How about you, man?
Well, I am not loving it. My eyes are burning. They're leaky and they're blurry, and I'm taking steroids, what the good doctor ordered. We just got off the last segment with Lieutenant Governor candidate Darrell Weaver. Had a good show. We'll post that in the notes later on tonight. But we have a lot going on tonight, Cam. How's work at Tinker Air Force Base before we start?
Busy, man. Busy. I'll be honest. We are making sure that people are employed, people moving forward, and at the end of the day, we gotta take care of that warfighter, man.
Well, the warfighter in chief is in China today, and from what I hear, he is. Well, do that again. What was that mouth grit you were doing?
China.
What's that about?
You know, he does it. He
What's that
does it.
about?
China. China.
Compared to when Obama went to China, he didn't have the same reception that Trump has had. I mean, they rolled out the red carpet for him, and rock star. Everybody came off the plane. So I think China understands who is in charge of the world, and that's President Trump. Thank God for that. So let's go. We are ready to get started in Oklahoma County Jail, running on skeleton crew with the safety checkers walking in or walking out the door. Norman City Council just argued yesterday during study session that tents are okay on public parks. And in California, a sitting mayor unmasked by DHS as an agent of the Chinese Communist Party. This is the Patriot Sentinel. Buck up. Buckle up. Welcome back. I'm Rarchar Tortorello. Cam, you forgot your
And
part. Do your part.
hey, I'm Cam Ulloa. Hey, big show tonight. We have two local stories, big national news. You know, be ready. Let's go. I'm ready to start this podcast.
Hit that like, share, and subscribe. Drop your zip code, drop the city you're at tonight in the chat. We want to know where you're watching from tonight. And if you're new here, this is the show that covers Oklahoma the way Oklahomans actually live it. So, national story. You've heard the story about Eileen, I guess I'm saying that name right, Wang of Arcadia, California. I mean, so this chick, if you're not been paying attention, she was arrested, I think, for being a Chinese asset. Did you hear about this? She even went as far as to create and put up a fake, sort of like U.S. News and Reports website to promote Chinese propaganda. And if you don't think forward influence has worked its way into American local politics, man, this is so weird, Cam. So I'm reading the documents that were unsealed in California yesterday, and now she's the former mayor of Arcadia, sitting council member up until Monday, right? She was charged with acting as an illegal agent of the People's Republic of China. She resigned the same day. So my question is that what's going on in America? Is this another example of illegal immigration, or do we have idiots voting for idiots, especially in California?
Well, you know, again, we're talking about when we look at fair elections and all that. We are able to get voter IDs, but we don't exercise them in California. People are required to have uh, practically anything to just go and register themselves and just move along. And we don't have people coming in and following these individuals and going, "Hey, man, what are you doing in the background?" And they start affecting our local elections, our children, our young adults, and this is how they influence. It's the perfect way to start approaching the monarch approach and destroy a society, the U.S. That's how it starts, man.
Well, all politics starts locally here, and I think they are taking it way too far. So ask yourself, how many other city councils across the country are sitting on the same problem now? We just don't know it. It's Oklahoma is not California, but transparency at the local level is exactly why we cover what we cover in this show. So coming up today on the show tonight, Oklahoma County Jail is on the brink. The trust that runs is being dissolved. Safety checkers walking out the door. I think April 30th, they've already walked out the door. And then recently, more than 53 detainees. And I want to say the notes say dead since 2020. FERLIN KEARNS, who is running for Oklahoma County Assessor, will be on the show here in a few minutes. And, you know, we're going to ask him these questions. But going back to the mayor of Arcadia, I'm reading this, and the story broke yesterday. And it's like something out of Hollywood. And only in California can this happen. So this Wang chick moved to Southern California from China, right? China. About 30 years ago, won a city council seat, served as mayor, and was treated as a rising star in the political scene in LA. Then the feds came in, and the website, I tried searching for this, Cam. It was called U.S. News Center. It was modeled after U.S. News and World Report, and it looked like an official website with official news, but it was all Chinese propaganda, dude. I mean, you can't make this shit up. I mean, the things we've seen so far, it's either this is an episode of Seinfeld that we're living in, or it's something for Prime Video. I want to see this on the episode of The Boys. I'm not sure if you watched that show about the superheroes, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what's happening. California is just a total shit show. Okay. And some people think Oklahoma is a shit show, but they got nothing compared over California. Not going to beat that gorilla. That's for sure.
Yeah,
You
no,
disagree?
and again, no, California is California. What do you expect the outcome's going to be when you have those kind of elections? When you see people promoting other countries other than the U.S., the greatest country in the world. So what do you expect is going to happen? You're going to have a Wang coming from left field and, just again, make California look bad again, unfortunately.
Oh man, I'm telling you, we just can't make this up, man. And we have our special guest tonight, FERLIN KEARNS. Are you on?
I'm on.
There. Hey, you guys, close your eyes and welcome FERLIN KEARNS. Go ahead and say what you always say when you do your whiteboard stuff on Facebook. Close your eyes, Cam, and see. It brings chills to hear you say it.
I say good morning, good afternoon, folks. FERLIN KEARNS. Here I am on Rarchar's show.
Well, it's the Patriot Sentinel with Rarchar and Cam, and Carrie is off on a special assignment. And if you guys are just tuning in now, FERLIN KEARNS, Republican candidate for Oklahoma County Assessor and a member of the Jail Citizen Advisory Board who's been raising the alarm on this trust for months. FERLIN, official welcome to the Patriot Sentinel. How you doing, bro?
It's great. I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. Hi, Cam.
Hey, FERLIN, how are you?
Good.
Before we dig in, for folks who haven't been tracking every meeting, give us the 30-second version. What in the hell is going on with the Oklahoma County Jail Trust, and why is it on the verge of being dissolved? I think tonight, right?
No, I heard you say that earlier, and it's not. What would have to happen to dissolve that trust, and the way it was written is lunacy, but in order to dissolve that trust, it would take a unanimous vote of the trust, which there's a lot of people on there right now that have no intentions of dissolving the trust, and 2/3 votes of the county commissioners. So that's not on the radar right now. The budget board did vote to dissolve it a couple of weeks ago, but they have no authority to do that. That was just all for show.
You stood up in November of last year. I think I saw this. I watched it in that meeting and told the trust on the record that members serving on the trust weren't even legal residents of Oklahoma County. And I do remember that because you called me about one person, okay? And we know who this person is. I heard of him here in Norman. AJ Griffin walked out of that meeting and resigned. Did he do that because you called him out? And did he actually live in Norman? Did you find that out yet?
No. She, AJ Griffin, former state senator, actually lived in Logan County. There's two boards, the Citizens Advisory Board to the trust. There was a gentleman on that board that lived in Norman, and then the trust itself, AJ Griffin, she lived in Logan County, and yes, she resigned. She's no longer on there. Everyone on there now does, in fact, live in Oklahoma County.
Who was the old boy you called me about that you thought lived in Norman? Was it a different AJ Griffin?
No, his name was Jeff Dismukes, and he does live in Cleveland County. Yes, AJ she's a former state senator, and she lives in Logan County.
Was she part of the group that was like that pro 836 open primary thing? Why does her name sound so familiar?
Yes, she was right there, standing arm in arm with Mayor Holt on that deal.
You know, so I was watching the news cam, and you sent me footage this morning, but Sean Cummings, I don't agree with it on a lot of things here, but he stood up this week and he really gave the trust and those people, you know, his mind. And like I said, I don't agree with him on everything, FERLIN, but I did agree with him on what he said. Were you there for that?
Yes, that 4-hour meeting. Yes. 4-hour trust
City
meeting.
Council. Well, that's nothing compared to Norman's. That's nothing compared to City Council in Norman. Sometimes they go until like 2 o'clock in the morning. Cam?
Yeah.
Hey, so FERLIN, does that mean that the votes that the trust has taken in the past, is that making them legally vulnerable? Is there potential reverse invalidation? Like, well, what's going on with that?
I don't understand the question. Say that again.
So when the trust, because there's a lot of things that's going on, is that gonna have a problem because a lot of people were not really like put together. I don't know how to put this. That when we're looking at amending the trust and all that stuff, are those votes going to be valid or not valid? Because I feel like there people are pushing back and forth.
Yes, they are valid. There's a lot of case law on that. I'm not an attorney, but there is a lot of case law on that. And if someone's sitting in the capacity and they appear to be there legitimately and they make a vote, the vote counts. You can call them on it and have them removed. I don't necessarily agree with that case law, but that's what the case law has said consistently. If somebody's in a position like that and they shouldn't be there, their vote still counts. So I don't see any problem with any of the votes that we had prior to that.
You know, what about the disconnect between Sheriff Tommy Johnson and the trust? So what happened the other day when I guess some prisoners who were supposed to be either sent to the courthouse or get together to be put on the camera before the court? What happened and why is there a disconnect between the sheriff and the trust itself?
Sheriff Johnson believes that it's the responsibility of the trust or the detention center to transport those prisoners from the county jail to court. The trust and the detention center is saying it's the sheriff's responsibility to transport them. It's 5 blocks, and that's what that was all about. You've got the district attorney, you've got the public defender, you've got now Judge Stinson, presiding judge of Oklahoma County, and the attorney general, all saying that Tommy's wrong and it is his responsibility to transport those prisoners according to this new trust. Now, you got to keep in mind, this trust was created pursuant to law. So everybody is in disagreement with the sheriff, but he's holding his ground. Judge Stinson on Monday said that it was his responsibility and ordered him to do that. He said he would comply pending an appeal. But there was like 70 some, almost 80 80 prisoners that were supposed to be in court Monday that missed their court dates. It was just a fiasco.
I don't know,
Wow. Hey,
man.
so Ferlin, there has been deaths uh in the county jail. Like Sheila Prince, 50-year-old, Jeremiah, 22-year-old, and these people passed away. Are these people's families, are they getting justice? Are the taxpayers going to be the ones who are going to be paying for their pain and sufferings? Like how does that work?
So if you've been watching the news in the last 2 weeks, maybe, we've agreed to a $7 million settlement and a $2 million settlement. So those 9 million, that $9 million settlement will go on the tax rolls for Oklahoma County property owners. And these suits, so you got to keep in mind, they're 5, 6, 7 years old. They're not from the people that are in charge of the jail now. They're really old. We've had, and one death is too many. We've had
Hmm.
2 in the last year, and that's as low as it's been in 30 years. So the trust, with the people we've got now and the administration we've got in the county jail now, they're doing a pretty good job. They've been underfunded for 35 years. The sheriffs were underfunded. The trust has been underfunded. And that's why we went through so many jail administrators, and we keep going through uh, chairmans of the trust, because they're all saying the same thing. Guys, you're giving us this job to do, but you're not giving us enough money to do it. So we're doing it. We had a meeting today. The health department went through there and did an inspection of the county jail, and what they have always said was we're overcrowded and understaffed. They've said that for 30 years, and they didn't say that this time. They were complaining about a crack in the floor and the showers were dirty. I mean, it's the
Hmm.
best Department of Health inspection we've had in decades.
Wow.
So the guys are doing a pretty good job that are there right now.
So what's missing, Ferlin? I mean, look, you mentioned the budget board, and I was reading the news, and they were discussing trying to dissolve the trust. So who has a say in that if it does happen? Does it have to go through Sheriff Tommy Johnson? Does he get the jail back? I mean, what's the right answer? I mean, are we trading one set of problem for just another?
Well, so if we dissolve the trust, and like I said earlier, it would take a unanimous vote. It's not even a majority vote. The guys that set this up 6 or 7 years ago, I can't believe they put that in there that way. It's like this thing's got perpetual life. It takes unanimous vote of the trust plus a majority of the county commissioners. So this idea that the budget board said it, that was just political theater. It meant nothing, and everybody knows that. And they actually voted 7-1 to start the process, but it's just political theater. It means nothing.
Mm.
But you got to remember, we had the sheriff in charge of that jail from 1993 until, I guess, 6 years ago. And it was worse then than it is now. What the trust does, it gives us oversight and accountability. If you put that sheriff back in there behind that big 500-pound door, and the oversight's gone, the accountability's gone. So the trust does do that. And like I say, we've got a better deal going right now than we've had in decades, but it's always been about the funding. They've never wanted to adequately fund that jail, and they haven't. The ask that we put in for fiscal year 27, the budget evaluation team, which gives a recommendation to the budget board, they recommended the ask that came from the jail. So we should be fully funded this year for the first time since that jail's been there.
Wow. Hey, so Ferlin, you're running for county assessor, and you're not running for sheriff or commissioner. Why is the jail trust, or I guess, why is it so important to you when you're a candidate for a county assessor? What's the importance behind it?
So the Oklahoma County is what we call a budget board county. And, you know, we've been talking about that budget board. There's 9 elected officials in Oklahoma County. 8 of them are on that budget board, and 1 of them's a county assessor. So I've been on the Citizens Advisory Board to the trust year and a half, I'm not sure. And I started seeing the inner workings of what was going on with the county jail and the budget board. And I decided I could be more effective as a voting member of that budget board than just an advisory position on the Citizens Advisory Board. Here, about a month ago, we had 1,500 inmates in that jail, about 350 employees, and $20,000 in the bank. And my opponent is the one that led the initiative to make that happen. He's the one that made the motion to, what I say, defund the jail. He doesn't like that word, but that's the reality of it. He made the motion, he gathered up the votes, and we were hours away from having to lay off half the staff in that jail. And finally, at the 11th hour, the budget board came through and gave the trust or the jail an extra $5 million to get us through this fiscal year. But we were 1 vote away from, we didn't know what we were going to do. Get the governor to bring in the National Guard. We were in talks with the Department of Corrections. Maybe they could send some people in. We didn't know what we were going to do. Because, like I say, we had $20,000 in the bank. And that doesn't get you through 3 months. That gets you through a couple hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I just don't see a solution. I mean, thank God you guys are all working together. I want to say thank God you're probably there, because nobody, and Cam, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think anybody knew about these issues. I mean, outside the trust themselves and maybe a few who pay attention to the news. But I think, FERLIN, you keeping us on track about this is kind of a public service, man. So I'm glad that runs in your blood. You have the last 90 seconds. No, look, you know, you do put out a lot of good content. You do discuss things that need to be discussed in a way that people can consume it. And that's what this whole business is about, is media consumption and getting the word out there. So it's public service. Okay. I don't care what anybody else says. You're doing something for the public that is needed. Is that what drove the need for you to run for office? And this is the first time you ran for office, or have you run before in the past, real quick?
This is the first time I've ran for public office. It is. And, you know, a year ago, this was nowhere on the radar. Like I say, I've been involved with the Citizens Advisory Board. And when I started watching the inner workings of that county jail and what's going on with the property tax, it's a twofold deal, the property taxes and the jail. And Larry and I just disagree on policy. It's a simple policy disagreement on what he believes and what I believe. He thought the $34 million was enough. It's been 34, you know, that was a budget for the jail. It was $34 million for 4 years without 1 penny increase. Well, everything in the world's gone up. And that's why we were running out of money 90 days before the end of the fiscal year, was because we just didn't have enough money. So that was one of the reasons. And then the property tax, we just got a fundamental disagreement on policy when it comes to property tax as well.
Hey, so FERLIN, let me ask you, when you were talking about dissolving the trust, if the trust is dissolved, does that go back to the sheriff, or does that go into the court or federal court? Like, how does that work?
No, if they dissolve the trust, so Oklahoma statute dictates who's in charge of what. And the sheriff's in charge of the jail, they're in charge of the transportation, they're in charge of security at the courthouse, all of it. Unless, they put that unless in there, unless a county decides to create a trust, which Oklahoma County did, and then the terms of the trust dictate who does what. And that's pursuant to law. That's the part our sheriff keeps missing, is that is pursuant to law. The law says you can create a trust that dictates these responsibilities to different people. And that's what the trust did. So if we dissolve the trust, The jail would go back to the sheriff, the transportation to and from the courthouse would, and the security in the courthouse would all be the responsibility of the sheriff again.
So let me ask
You
you another
know,
question. If it's because I've seen how the Oklahoma County Jail works and all that, and there are different levels, and I feel like there's not enough manpower. What's the solution to the jail? Is it more manpower? Is it medical? Like what are we missing? Because I feel like we're just keep I as a taxpayer, I feel like I'm just dumping in money and I'm getting very slow results rather than, hey, there is a Olympics coming right around the corner and we gotta
mhm.
have that jail going.
So, like I say, it's never been adequately funded. The jail has never been adequately funded. And the law says, the Constitution says, that these constitutional mandates must be funded first. So you got your little pet projects over here, that's fine, but you've got to do the jail first. Well, we've never done that. But me, I don't know anybody that would go down there and walk in a courtroom with a straight face and say that jail's been adequately funded. It's supposed to be first because it's a constitutional requirement that Oklahoma County have a county jail and adequately funded. So it's supposed to be first, but it never has. The Justice Department 20 years ago said we're understaffed, underfunded, and overcrowded. The Health Department said we're underfunded, understaffed, overcrowded. A grand jury investigation said we're underfunded, understaffed, overcrowded. That was 3 years ago. Nobody paid any attention to any of that. So to answer your question, it's always about the money. And we did get what we asked for this time for the first time in 35 years. We said we need about $40 million. And they said, okay, that's up from 34 that we've been getting for the last, 3 or 4 years. So it's always about the money. Because like you say, we are understaffed. We had to lay
Right.
off people. We do these site checks where people go from cell to cell to cell, making sure the people in the cell are okay. We had to lay those people off because we didn't have any money to pay them with. And that was just like 2 weeks ago was in the news. And if they'd give us this $5 million a little quicker, and when they gave us the $5 million, they still didn't quite give us enough. And that's why we had to have those layoffs for those people doing the site checks. We needed 5.1 million and they gave us 4.9, and we had to let somebody go.
Mm-mm-mm. Switching gears, you had mentioned the property taxes as a reason for running. So, do you think the average taxpayer who owns a home in Oklahoma pays a shit ton of taxes to everybody, Uncle Sam, the state? Do you think they're getting tired of the property taxes and the increases every year? I mean, so the people I talk to, and again, this is nothing against anybody, in the assessor's office or anything like that. My issue with the property taxes is that it's funding corporate welfare, and we complain about that in other verticals of government, corporate welfare, but the property taxes specifically, I think, is probably one of the number one issues in the state of Oklahoma that all Oklahomans can agree is bullshit and needs to be either gone altogether or reduced over time, replaced with a consumption tax where everyone pays into it. What's the deal? I mean, is that why you're running? Is that the real reason you're running? Property taxes?
Both of them, absolutely. Like you say, the county assessor is not a dictator. I can't set the rates, obviously, but like this SJR 39, it's going to be on the ballot in November, and what it will do is reduce. Right now, commercial property is maxed at 5% a year, and residential at 3%. What SJR 39 will do is drop that to 3 and 1. That's not an elimination, and it's not even a freeze, but 1% is better than 3. So,
Mm-hmm.
as an assessor of the largest county in Oklahoma, as Larry has done for 8 years, go out to the Capitol and lobby those guys. He lobbies against SJR. 39. He is opposed to reducing that cap from 5 and 3 to 3 and 1. I will be out there supporting that. So it's just a policy difference. Your homestead exemption, $1,000 right now. Well, when they put that homestead exemption of $1,000 into place, the average home was $5,000, which meant 1% or $1,000 is 2% of that. There was a bill out there this session that would raise the homestead exemption from $1,000 to $5,000, which is 2% of the average house today. The average house is $250,000. He lobbied all session against that. I would have been out there lobbying for that. My biggest deal, what I will work on, one of them is these outlier. You know, you live in a neighborhood, just make the numbers easy. Every house in the neighborhood is worth $100,000, and some guy from California moves in and you sell him your house for $150,000. They look at that and they say, well, that's sold for $150,000. Everybody's taxes start going up. And because they think that one sold for $150,000, everybody's house is worth $150,000. We're going to figure out a way to get rid of those outliers. That way, if something crazy like that happens, your property value doesn't go up. Another thing I will work on, I call it the Aubrey McClendon effect, like out in Arcadia or down around 63rd and Western.
Right.
Aubrey McClendon went in there and he just bought every piece of property there. Well, he paid double or triple what it was worth. Well, the assessor would look at that and say, well, that piece of property just sold for X. That's what the property's worth around here. Well, no, nobody else would give that except him. So we got to get rid of those outliers, and we got to figure out a way to where something like that happens, where somebody's just coming in, he's got too much money, and he's paying too much just because he wants it. That's not going to affect everybody else's property around it. So those are two big deals that I would be working on, and that would take the legislature to help.
Well, you know, it's a job that somebody has to look at. And like I said, we had Larry Stein on several months ago to discuss this, and we might bring him back on. You know, we want to stay fair and balanced because, you know, both sides of the conversation, I just think I speak for the majority of Oklahomans when I say that we don't like paying property taxes. You know, it's the one commodity, the one thing that we buy that we continuously have to pay taxes on or we lose. That is not an American idealism, and something's got to be done because, you know, it's you know, the revolt is happening around the state, and it's just a matter of time, and I hope they find a solution. FERLIN KEARNS, a Republican candidate for Oklahoma County Assessor, thank you for coming on the show, and feel free to come on next time you have any updates. And like I said, we'll have Larry Stein on the next show and to just give his side. And he and I spoke about the property taxes, and I kind of see his point on some of it. But, you know, when you got people paying $15,000 a year to keep their home, okay, it's a problem. You know, are you punishing success, or do you look at everybody as a cash cow, or here in Oklahoma, a hog? So, FERLIN, thank you for coming on tonight. Appreciate you. Cam, you want to say goodbye to him real quick?
Hey, FERLIN, thank you for coming today. This was great. Thank you for the insight.
Thank you, guys. Have a great evening.
Good night.
All right.
Wow, man, that was great.
Next up on the take, CD1, Congressional District 1 is, Cam, I don't know if you're paying attention, but these folks, there's so much happening up there. Jackson Lahmeyer, if you hadn't seen his announcement, not only did he get the Trump endorsement, but he got the Speaker of the House's endorsement today. I mean, and then one of his opponents just dropped out. The Folds of Honor guy dropped out, and I think he had a lot of baggage to begin with. You know, this is not an attack on veterans running, but I think the issue with him was that he was conflating, well, not conflating, that's not the right word, but he was mixing his nonprofit in with his campaign. And that's what a lot of people were saying, like, we just don't do it. And General Flynn, pretty much had a hard on for him. And so you have a senior officer, a flag officer, telling, making comments about a junior officer's, lack of integrity, for better words. That's pretty much what he said. That's a big deal. And in the military, that's a big deal. So Congressional 1 is now one candidate less, but they have a circus up in Congressional District 1. You still got like 9 Republicans running and 2 Democrats. And so the June 16th primary is going to be crazy. But do you think, and give it up to Jed Cochran and Mark Tedford, right? They're not slowing down, but Jackson Laymeyer is just piling up on the endorsements. Do you think Speaker Johnson endorsement is a big factor in his win? Will that help him push him across the primary line when the majority of Oklahomans can't stand that sumbitch because he's not? So for the most people in Oklahoma, they feel that Speaker Johnson may not be doing the job that we need him to do at the moment. But it changes. It's politics.
Sure. Well, in my opinion, I think endorsements are cute, in my opinion. But what wins races is the ground game. Going canvassing, going door knocking, going meeting your constituents, having conversations, doing town hall meetings. If you're not doing that, it's going to be really hard. Like, I don't get me wrong, I wish him the well and everything, but if you're not showing up and you're just gathering only but endorsements and you're not meeting the voter at the door, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard. I hope he's doing that.
Well, I hope he's. I think. Look, running a campaign, door knocking, meeting the voters is probably the most important thing you can do. On top of fundraising and endorsements. So in a race like that, I'm just saying the question is in a crowded field, it's still crowded, non-Republicans, right? The Trump endorsements and all these other endorsements combined with door knocking, meeting the voters.
Sure.
If he does that, then I think he either wins outright or maybe there's a runoff. So more likely than not, there's going to be a runoff. But having like an endorsement from the Speaker of the House, I'm not sure if that's going to be a big issue or big deal, but it could be with some households, but only if he's out knocking doors and they say, I'm going to vote for you, but I can't stand that sumbitch Johnson, right?
Well, and you got to also look at it. You got to look at the urban and suburban household. The your farmer with a Trump endorsement, the farmer's gonna vote for Trump, right? For Longmire, most likely. But if you hear that, hey, Johnson also endorsed you, that farmer may go, But then if you go to Edmond, Oklahoma, you'll have kind of like a little bit more of a different impact. So I think it depends on where you're living and how strategically they're going to approach the voter. So again, tactics and politics is going to be fun.
Hey, it's the get out the vote campaign. Whoever gets out the vote, no matter what, they will win, and that's all that matters. When we were out knocking doors, when I ran for office the first time, I ran across households that nobody's ever visited before, and they go, "Oh my God, you're the first person in 20 years that came and knocked my door. I'm going to vote for you." And so that's all they want. At the end of the day, once you get elected, of course, they want you to represent them, but before they want to meet you, okay? And the reason those guys that were pushing the 836, the open primary, was that they were saying that we have a low, turnout, and it's kind of not true. It depends on the turnout. It depends on the race. I think what it is that not enough people get enough attention at the doors. Okay, sure. And so I'm going to tell you for a fact that the doors I knocked on in my first campaign, no one has knocked their door in years. And I activated that voter and his entire family. Okay. And so that's probably the issue is that, it's voter apathy, but man, it does feel good to have the candidate come out and knock doors. And I hope, look, we don't have anything. We don't have a horse in Congressional District 1 that's way up there in the northeast part of Oklahoma, up in Tulsa. But it is an interesting race because whoever wins that seat, more likely than not, will be and need to be an ally of President Trump. And that Trump endorsement for Jackson Laymeyer is pretty powerful in its own because, Trump won all 77 counties every time he ran here. And, it's enough to push him over, just like Yeah, just like Hearn, So Hearn got the Trump endorsement for the Mark Mullen open seat, and again, good on him. Trump needs all the allies we can get, and for the most part, our federal delegation, they are pretty much diehard Republicans, anyways. Some are MAGA, some are Republicans, but they all support Trump, and that's what we need to send to DC, no matter who wins, is somebody who will support Trump. But what do you think about the idea that some candidates are pushing that we want to be Oklahoma first? So what does that mean to you when they say we're Oklahoma first?
Yeah, why not? Do you want California first over Oklahoma? Like I don't want Oklahoma to turn into California. That is a huge mistake. Why should I want to have Oklahoma as number one? I don't care if we're talking about education. I don't care if it's about imports, exports. I want to be number one. I want to have the best county assessor, the best commissioner, the number one on everything. So we should be Oklahoma first. We should have the number one baseball team here. We have the Thunder. Okay, so talk about the jail trust. Why aren't we working with the Thunder for them to also sponsor the jail to help it build up? Because we gave them a pretty big arena. Why can't we work on that? Just a little bit of a topic.
It could be we can frame it like, you go to a basketball game, you get a little much to drink, you get crazy. Oh yeah, Paycom sponsors the jail, right? We can send you
Yeah,
right to jail from the basketball arena. I can see
yeah.
that headline now.
Go Thunder.
Straight to jail. That's funny. Anyway, so we are nearing the end of our segment. That was a good.
Mhm.
I didn't plan to have him on that long, FERLIN KEARNS, but he does have a lot of good points. And like I said, I don't think anybody would have known a lot about the jail trust, and the issues if it wasn't for FERLIN just talking about it and discussing it and doing his whiteboard thing here. And good luck to his race for Oklahoma County Assessor. That I don't know. It appears to be a I don't know. What do you think about the race? I mean, I don't like it when Republicans attack each other. I absolutely detest that. Um, you know, and this is not to say that any campaign is innocent, but a lot of campaigns seem to think it's that attacking your opponent is the best thing to do. Look, take for example, have you seen Laura Loomer's John Echols post that came out yesterday?
What happened?
Anything? Well, no, it's we'll put it up next week. But the attacks on John is getting heavy. So he, according to the Daily Oklahoman, returned donations back to Rod Poston. And that name sounds familiar. Rod Poston lives here in
Yeah.
Cleveland County in Norman. His wife, Sarah, good people. Like we said before, good people do silly things sometimes. And she got out of prison early. And, I'm not going to open that can of worms because it's nothing for us to discuss at this point here. Good for her, right? But apparently they had given a donation to John Echols on his campaign, and he returned it as soon as the grand jury can reconvene and they published their findings here. But it's the attack on, I think, a man who served Oklahoma well for years in the House. And again, it goes to and we know this happens, right? It's going to happen, and I wouldn't say dark money. I think the attacks are coming straight from Oklahoma, from his opponent or supporters of his opponent, which is unfortunate because I don't think I've seen any negative ads against his opponent running so far. Do you think this hurts John's chances, or do people just seem, this is bullshit, and look past it and vote for him anyways?
So the uninformed voter is gonna see what's been played, unfortunately. And the people who are informed are gonna go, political attack. Come on, dude. But between you and I, I'll be honest with you. Good publicity is good publicity. Bad publicity is still good publicity. So, however, John is gonna pivot from this. I think he may push forward and win this because what kind of tarnish does he have in his record other than somebody donating to his campaign and he returned the money? Like the guy has had a spotless record, good family man. Again, he went and talked to not just Trump, but he went and defended Trump to be in the ballot when he ran for office. So there are so many angles that I could see him going and still thriving from this.
So I think, like I said, most people, most informed voters would just look past this. All right. So if they're going to vote
Mhm.
for either candidate, they don't care what it said out there. Come short that, he did something and broke the law, which he hasn't. Again, these campaigns and negative campaigns, I just dislike it when Republicans do it to each other. It's unnecessary. All right. We don't have to do it. Just run on your record. Okay, if you're going to run for a job, run on why you're the best candidate, and I don't think you should tear down somebody else. And like I said, John has served Oklahoma well for his time in public office, and
Mhm.
that's somebody we need, because when you look at it, are we going to trust somebody who attacked their opponents? I think most people look and say, well, why would I vote for someone who attacked their opponents? Run on your own merits, win on your own merits, and leave the attacking to the Democrats, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's when all things from the Republican Party should go against the complete opposite, the Democrat. But I feel like we're using all our ammunition against each other. Like, no, guys, come on. Kind of like you said, run in your own merit. What have you done to be in that position? What have you earned? What have you have done to improve not just yourself, but your people around you? So I think that should be the thing you should be looking at.
And to be sure, we're not coming on here supporting one candidate over the other. The question was that the negative campaigns. John, like I said, has been a staple in Oklahoma, has served Oklahoma well, and
Mhm.
these negative ads probably aren't going to do anything but get his base fired up and say, well, we're going to go out and vote for him, knock doors, and oh hell, we'll give him more money. Okay, so your wife graduated college, and
Ooh.
that was, that's an exciting time for your household. Um,
Mhm.
the baby is going to be due when? For those that don't know,
August. August.
we would normally say Cam is expecting, but the gut you see is not his baby. Okay, so it's what we all have. It's our bear. Look, I have my beer belly
It's my
too.
husk.
So
It's my winter husk.
we're
Winter's coming.
we're just big bone people here, but Melinda, Mrs. Ulloa, Mrs. Cam is expecting, and so how soon? When is the baby due again?
End of August, we're having a baby boy. Exciting, man. Exciting. Adding an extra one, you know?
Yeah, that way you can pick your favorite one when they get older. Like, you're my favorite this week. Oh, you're my favorite this week.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you're
I'm gonna
both
tell
my
that.
favorite this week.
You said when you grow up, no, when they're young, I'm gonna say you're my favorite, and just give one candy and just let the other one see. Oh yeah, it's gonna be so
Mm-mm.
good.
No, you're not
No,
gonna
I'm
do
gonna
that.
spoil them. You know me. I'm gonna spoil my kids.
You're not gonna do that.
Uh-uh.
Melinda would beat your butt.
I'm all talk on that one. All talk. I
Well,
spoil my boys.
she is watching, so there you go. You don't, and I want to see you tomorrow morning without a black eye or something going on.
Oh, I ran into the doorknob 7 times.
It's like the movie The Intern or The Internship with ah whatever. Anyway, so if you
Mm-hmm.
recall the movie I'm thinking about, for those that the movie, I think it's called The Internship. Uh, where these guys go to Google to work as interns,
Yeah.
and there was a boy that was homeschooled, picking out his eyebrows, and they ask him, was he bullied in school? He goes, I'm homeschooled. My mom was the bully. So
Hey,
you
dude, that's what
homeschool.
my boys do. My boys homeschool. Then he gets bullied all the time.
Yeah, who's a bully in your house? Oh, it's my mom. We're homeschooled. All right, bro. It is coming on the hour. You have the last word. Anything on your mind? Anything you want to
Yeah,
say?
we have the Armed Forces Parade in Del City this Saturday. I was gonna say, if you guys are available, come and support our fellow servicemen and women and veterans out there. So come out this Saturday in the morning in Del City.
Are you going to wear your Navy uniform?
Oh, bro, that's like tiny, man. I can't wear that. Pete's
Well,
he's not gonna let me do
if
that.
you could wear your Navy uniform and I got them to play YMCA, could you
Oh,
be
100%.
one of the
Yes.
characters? Oh, good deal. All right, just
Yes.
checking.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No, I have no shame. Yes, and I will do the Trump dance on top of that too.
Anyways, I want to thank everyone for showing up tonight. FERLIN KEARNS, stand-up guy running for Oklahoma County Assessor, talks about jail trusts, jail issues, and he's keeping us informed. That's what we need. I want to thank you guys for as always, comment, share, tag. This is the way to beat the Facebook algorithms, and we will see you guys next week.
Take care, y'all.